The St. George Illawarra Dragons are the worst run club in the NRL. Now, that may sound like a ridiculous statement, and I guess it kind of is. And this video is going to be very subjective, I guess, because I don't know what's going behind those closed doors every day. It might be one of the great working environments all time, but this is from a footy fan looking in at what really has been just an absolute shambles for, well, the better part of 5 years. Between their best player and their captain literally begging to leave, hiring their third coach in the span of about, 4 years, and this whole recent development with Ronald Volkman, it was time to make a video about these guys. 6 months ago, I would have said easily the worst run club is the West Tigers, but the West Tigers are actually on the up, and the St. George Illawarra Dragons have seemed to only get worse. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, please smash that like button if you enjoy the video, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any of the best footy content here on the internet. Leave a comment down below. Do you agree, disagree with what I have to say? These St. George Illawarra Dragons are a complete and utter mess. This is a club that has won one finals game in over 5 years. A club that 5 years ago had the record most amount of State of Origin players, more than the Broncos, more than the Cowboys, more than the Roosters, for Christ's sake. They underperformed in 2019 and 2020 during the beautiful year that was the pandemic. They let go of Mary McGregor. And looking back, it's funny to see how that was the high point of these Dragons. Anthony Griffin came in 2021 with no expectations. They overperformed, and then they shot themselves in the foot with one of the worst, and let's face it, most embarrassing NRL scandals of all time. Unless, of course, the Snags were all-time good, which makes it a pass. In 2022, Ben Hunt absolutely carried this side. LeBron James' early Cleveland Cavaliers level of carrying just to get them within fighting for the top 8, but were never really a realistic shot of getting into there. Then last year, a bit of the same really, and then that best player that you had decided he was willing to do anything to get out the front door, even if it meant taking a massive pay cut. Now, I can totally understand why the Dragons and why Dragons fans were upset, because Ben Hunt did literally re-sign his multi-million-dollar year extensions just 6 months before that. So I can totally see why the Dragons would have felt blindsided by this, but I can also see where Ben Hunt's coming from. And this whole new scenario within Ronald Volkman has only made the Dragons more alarming, and lots of people have gone into that and no one's got a clue. Again, this is all just speculation. In this video, the title of it is speculatory. Is that even a word? This is a lot of speculation as well. But Jesus Christ, it's hard not to think that the St. George Illawarra Dragons are at least not one of the worst clubs in the NRL, just based on what we've read for the past few years. And then you put all on top of that, the Dragons kept talking about this next generation, their new up-and-coming 3 players who are in the 3 positions in modern rugby league. Tyrell Sloan at fullback, Junior Ramone at 5'8", and Bud Sullivan at halfback. This was the future of the St. George Illawarra Dragons. They played in New South Wales together. They won numerous junior competitions together. And guess what now? Only one of them is left. And guess what? Many are believing that that guy isn't even predicted to be in the starting side for the Dragons in 2024. On top of that, just the absolute, shit show from the Mary McGregor stuff in 2020, the Anthony Griffin stuff last year, Shane Flanagan, good on him. I think it might be one of the worst jobs in rugby league, because outside of Blake Laurie's a good forward, Zach Lomax, I think, is a great talent who could pretty much play anywhere in the back line. And Jesus Christ, I think with this whole Ronald Volkman situation, the speculation about him going to fullback gets the door shut. I'd be chucking him at number 6, because you can't have Jack Bird in the halves. I'm sorry, Birdie, but that time is just way past him at this point. The Dragons are just that bad on roster. They are just that bad heading into 2024. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful to any of the players, but when you look at the roster on paper and compare it to nearly every other team in the NRL, the teams at the top, the Broncos and the Panthers, are coming back to the pack, and nearly every single other team, the Gold Coast Titans, the Bulldogs, the Dolphins, the Rabbitohs, all these teams that didn't finish and were on the verge of the top 8 are only getting better. And unfortunately, outside of the one guy who is begging to leave, who has carried them for the past few years, who he is only getting older, and outside of Blake Laurie, who's an awesome prop, definitely has a go, but I don't really see him pushing on to reach an Origin debut. They got Zach Lomax, who I think has all the potential in the world, but he's really got no support or anyone else there around him. Outside of those three guys, and I guess Tyrell Sloan, because he's still very young. I'm not going to shut the door on Sloan's career yet, but Jesus Christ, man, this is just an awful club to be a fan of at the moment. And I'm not trying to sound disrespectful. I do think Shane Flanagan is a good guy. I mean, he did rebuild the Sharks and take them to the Premiership. And the Cronulla Sharks, they share a few similarities with this whole Dragons team when it comes to just what a shit show it is off the field. But when I look at the Tigers, I can be excited. When I look at the Titans, I can be excited. When I look at the Bulldogs, I can be excited because they all look like they have their future laid out. Whereas the Dragons, your best player, the guy's been carrying you, is begging to get out the door. And if I'm the Dragons, look, I guess every team wants hope, and there's no draft, there's no point tanking. But the Dragons, there's no doubt they are in a rebuild. And with Ben Hunt begging to leave, I think the Dragons need to do what the Melbourne Storm did with Justin Olam, and they need to get something for Ben Hunt. Obviously, he wants to go back to Queensland, so your options are the Titans, the Dolphins, the Broncos, and a stretch North Queensland. He's the second oldest halfback in the competition. Basically, after DCE's gone, he's going to be the next bloke to retire. He's not retiring from Origin anytime soon, especially while at the Dragons, because that's all he's got to look forward to. But if I am the Dragons, well, it's going to be impossible because of the salary cap, but I expect with the roster moves the Dragons are making that they have so much salary cap room. I'd be out there trying to offload him to, I don't think it's going to the Dolphins, but I think if he can go to the Broncos and play dummy half, I'm trying to get like a Blake Moser. I'm trying to get an Ezra Man. While that seems unrealistic, if I'm the Dragons, I'm playing hardball with Ben Hunt. I know player welfare is a big thing, and the Warriors did just let Anafinul Blake go, and I think if Ben Hunt is still like this in a year wanting to leave, I think the Dragons will have to let him go. But the Dragons are in a position where they just cannot let Ben Hunt go for free. This is like just a great situation that you could use as an example if you're doing a video about why the NRL should have a trade system. And again, that's a different type of video. But this is your number one asset. This is the only asset you really have to hang your hat on, that every other club in the NRL goes, God, we'd be a better team if we have Ben Hunt. So if I'm the Dragons, I am not letting Ben Hunt go unless I get something in return. I don't get why they let go of Bud Sullivan. I know they didn't expect Amone to, not be in the NRL anymore, but letting him go to the Tigers, that was just silly. You didn't have a backup half anyway, so you had to go out and get Volkman. Now that Volkman's gone, God forbid Ben Hunt goes down, or Zach Lomax. What half have you got? Are you going to throw Jack Bird at halfback? I think the Fee Guy brothers, if that's how you say it, I think they're good quality outside backs. But outside of those boys and the guys I just mentioned, there's no real up-and-coming superstars at the St. George Illawarra Dragons. And that's a shame because they had three in the three most important positions. It's a club that has just been a shambles when it comes to on the field, off the field. They've been lucky to avoid the wooden spoon somehow because of the awesome playing by a few of their guys. And while it would suck, and I don't wish this upon anyone, I do think the Dragons are, and if they don't change something soon, they're going to make the mid-2010s Newcastle Knights side look like the best run club in the competition. They are the furthest club away from finals right now, in my opinion, and they've won one finals game since 2016, 2015. Like, this is a club who was competing. They started 2017 on fire, fell off, started 2018 on fire, fell off. If they kicked that field goal against the Rabbitohs a few years ago, maybe things are different. But from letting Mary McGregor go, getting Anthony Griffin, going worse, now they're on Shane Flanagan in the space of, 4 years, 5 years? This is just, I can't wrap my head around it. From the outside looking in, this looks like an absolute shambles. I can understand why no player wants to go there. Dragons should be very lucky they've been able to get the coach that is Shane Flanagan, because Jesus Christ, I wouldn't want to go there. A team that had the best up-and-coming junior system in the competition, and now they've gotten rid of the two big stars of that. I should say lost, shouldn't I? They've lost two of the big stars from that. And now outside that aging halfback who wants to leave, what have you got to hang your hat on? Off the field, it is an absolute disaster, even more than it is on the field. And on the field, it has not been a fun brand of footy to watch for the past 5 years. And this whole Ronald Volkman situation, whether it is the Warriors' fault, whether it is the Dragons' fault, there's equal blame on every side. And they've just pissed away this young kid who, if you know, if I'm the Dragons, I'm keeping him. I'm just paying him the year. They must have, unless they're paying Tyrell Sloan and Zach Lomax and Blake Laurie $1 million, they surely have some salary cap in the room, because outside of Ben Hunt, who have they got that's even worthy of being close to that figure? I don't know. That's why I'm in a shitty room and those guys are out there in their suits, wheeling and dealing, because they know a lot more than I do. But Jesus Christ, boys, you need to pull your heads in. At least shut up to the media every once in a while. But ladies and gentlemen, let me know in the comment section down below. Do you think this was a fair critique of the St. George Illawarra Dragons, or if I'm just a hater of the Red V? Smash that like button if you enjoyed the video, guys. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any of the best footy content going into the remainder of 2024. And I'll see you in the next one.